welcome to the podcast. I am so excited about what we're going to talk about today and the things we're going to do and explore. Today is a special presentation. May the 4th be with you. I'm also recording this video live because I keep promising our Mirror Bulb members bonus content. So here you are getting the visual as well as the audio. And you will be sent a special link to watch the video presentation of this particular podcast. For the rest of you, enjoy the audio, and let's hope we don't get sued. No, we won't. I purposely did not open with the Star Wars theme song, even though it about killed me. So, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, we're so excited to talk about the Star Wars universe today and the wisdom that we gain from watching the hero's journey through the Star Wars Saga. I know. You were going to go to Toshi's station to pick up some power converters, but we have some great things to share with you. Now, the first thing I wanted to talk about, we're going to just be kind of all over the place with different quotes and themes from the show, but the first quote I'd like to discuss is from Yoda in The Empire Strikes Back. And he says, "You must unlearn what you have learned." But you must unlearn what you have learned. So often, our previous traditions and our previous orientations get in the way of us learning greater truth. Always having to plug it into the same box may not facilitate understanding a greater, bigger, cosmic whole. And so oftentimes when you come up to learning, I've noticed that I must first unlearn what I have learned. I must first shed all of the robes and the traditions and all of the things that I had supposed or just taken and not really examined. There's a lot of culture and tradition that actually doesn't have celestial weight. And so I love that Yoda advises Luke on his journey to becoming a Jedi Master in the Jedi training that you must first unlearn what you have learned. Now, the Force. I mean, even the most caustic cynic, Han Solo, who doesn't believe there's one all-knowing thing that controls his destiny, in The Force Awakens does come around. And when he enters the Millennium Falcon, yes, I did have a tear in my eye. He says, "Chewie, we're home." He proceeds to tell Finn and Rey and Poe, "I used to wonder about that myself. Thought it was a bunch of mumbo jumbo, a magical power holding together good and evil, the dark side and the light. Crazy thing is, it's true. The Force, the Jedi, all of it. It's all true." Chalk one up for Han Solo. He unlearned what he needed to learn. And his experience taught him that there is light, there is dark, there is a power that guides us and influences us for good or for bad. We learned about service from Obi-Wan Kenobi because Leia sends him out that epic message. "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope." And that cry for help is what starts this whole thing. And I think it's actually very instructive because I actually have a kidney stone right now. And sometimes we get so self-sufficient that we just want to do it all ourselves. And the fact that Leia knows that to defeat this giant enemy, she has to enlist the aid of people who can help, people who have knowledge, who have the Force, who have abilities, and who can support her in the cause of righteousness and freedom. Now, we also learned about deception. If you recall, when they come into Mos Eisley and they see the stormtrooper, Obi-Wan uses the old Jedi mind trick. These aren't the droids you're looking for. You know what? We've all had those moments where you think you know something and you actually do know it and you get talked out of it. I love the meme. I'll put it on the show notes. The stormtrooper who says it has him at a kitchen table, and it's one of those business motivation posters that says, "Yes, Those were the droids they were looking for. We all have those mess ups. We all have those times where we know something and we're influenced by outside or external things that make us change our mind, even though we are on the right track. And you know what? It's okay. Things still work out in the end, even if you become an out of work stormtrooper. I also love this theme of things aren't always what they appear to be. If you recall when they meet Han Solo, and he's bragging about the Millennium Falcon. It's the ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. I mean, you've never heard of the Millennium Falcon? And then they go and see the ship. And Princess Leia comments, "You fly that thing? You're braver than I thought." And he says, "She may not look like much, but she's got it where it counts, kid." And I think that's so true, not only of starships, but of people. Oftentimes we make a snap judgment based on how somebody looks or how something looks. And we could be surprised at what's actually on the inside. I mean, maybe that is the ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. Maybe that grumpy old man could be the last remaining Jedi master. Maybe that stuck up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf-herder could end up being the love of your life and could make sure that evil is defeated once again and that balance is brought to the Force. Remember that looks are not always what they appear. The other thing I'd love to do is Maz Kanata, in one of the newer installments of the Star Wars Saga, she is coaching Rey on the Force. And to feel the Force, she said, close your eyes, feel it, the light. It's always been there. It will guide you. This podcast is all about reflecting light, but I love how in the middle of this epic, they're about to be attacked, but she takes the moment to teach Rey this very important truth that to feel the light, to get in touch with the light, you have to close your eyes, you have to breathe, and you have to let go of everything around you and tap into the more divine sphere. And it does come when things are quiet and when things are peaceful in yourself, maybe not outside of yourself, but you remember that the Jedi have to feel that peace and that calm in order to perform in concert with the Force. Last week in the podcast, we talked all about fear. There's so many lessons about fear in the Star Wars saga. One of my favorite moments is in The Empire Strikes Back, when Luke is in the middle of his training and he's instructed to go into this dark cave. Now, this is all part of the hero's journey, right? To confront fear. We talked about Mary Magdalene and how she said you must confront the illusion of your fears. When Luke walks into that cave, it is an illusion, even though it appears real. But Yoda has some really amazing advice there. And Luke asks him what's in the cave, and Yoda's response is so profound. Only what you take with you. I'm not going to do a Yoda voice. I couldn't do it any justice, but thank you, Frank Oz. Only what you take with you. So often what manifests as fear in our lives is what we take with us. It's the baggage we hang on to. It's the experience that we don't want to learn from. It's the emotions that we suppress. It's all of those things. And it's such a great reminder that in life, what you have is what you take with you. So make sure we're taking empowering, beautiful truth and light as our guide. And yes, we all confront those illusions. We all confront fear. But the point is to still walk into the cave, to still show up. Traveling through hyperspace ain't like dusting crops, boy. We're going to need Han Solo for that one. But it's such a great metaphor for life that you can't just wing it through life. You've got to have a plan. You've got to have a trajectory. If you want to end up in a certain celestial point, you've got to put in the calculations. You've got to put in the time and the work and know exactly where you're heading so that your course does line up. When Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, there's a way that connects you to him that you can progress through that will get you to that. So it ain't like dusting crops. You've got to have precise calculations to make your journey the most safe, the most effective. My son, Indiana, out there in the mission field, he shared such an interesting story with me, and he talked about the light of the gospel. And he said, the light of the gospel is what illuminates your path. There are always lions on the path. And no offense to lions, but that was the metaphor he used. And he said, the gospel is what allows you to turn on the light and not be in the dark so that you can make the best, quickest, safest path possible through that lion-infested savanna or whatever you want to compare life to. And I thought that was just the most perfect illustration of fear and the light of Jesus Christ, that it doesn't change the fact that there are lions and monsters on the landscape, but that light illuminates your path and it helps you see where those obstacles are and helps you have a better plan of attack and how you go through those obstacles. And so Han and Indy, well done. Well done. All right, belief. Oh, there's so much about belief. Obi-Wan, when Luke is very first in A New Hope, starting his journey, he's got the blaster shield down over his face, and he tells Luke to cover his eyes and to feel the Force. And Luke says, I can't see anything. And he said, your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them. We are such empirical beings, aren't we? What we see is what we believe. But more oftentimes, believing is seeing. Believing is seeing. And when Yoda raises the X-Wing out of the water, Luke responds that he doesn't believe it. And Yoda replies, that is why you fail. Your mind is the most powerful tool you possess. What you believe and don't believe in actually gives you power to move mountains, as the gospel accounts say. Believe what you want to see. You'll notice later on in The Last Jedi that Luke also raises an X-Wing out of the water. So it's so beautiful. Yoda also responds that the greatest teacher of failure is, we're so afraid to fail. And there was another quote. I've never heard it in the movies. Maybe it's in the Clone Wars, which I haven't watched all of. But it said something to the effect of, a Jedi Master has failed far more times than his apprentice has ever attempted. I love that quote. We have to be willing to make the attempt and do it well. And if you fail, you fail. That's not the end result. The attempt is where the power is. Yoda says, do or do not. There is no try. No half-heartedness will get us into heaven, as C.S. Lewis also says. So how can we be more wholehearted? When you do something, do it all the way. Put it all in and don't be afraid of failure. The greatest Jedi Masters fail far more times than their apprentices attempt. So don't be afraid to attempt new things. I love Han Solo. He has this great line, never tell me the odds. If you have a cause and you believe in yourself and you're ready to make that jump, then try the jump. Go for it. Don't look at the odds. Don't look at all the reasons why you shouldn't. Don't tuck yourself out of it. Don't hear the voice that says this isn't the jump you're looking for. Make the jump. Try it out. See how it goes. I mean, 3PO has always got the odds, and yet, thank heavens, Han Solo doesn't listen to those odds. We've got to talk about Rey. I love that you've got Luke's journey, you've got Rey's journey, you've got Leia's journey, you've got Han Solo's journey, Kylo Ren. All these journeys intertwine. Each must play their part, but I wanted to speak a little bit about Rey and her journey. So there's a line from The Force Awakens where she says, I know all about waiting. Rey is ultimately the person who, along with Kylo Ren in this divine dyad, brings down the Sith forever, permanently, let's hope, unless there's another trilogy. But if you look at the beginning of her life, it's very plain. It's very unextraordinary. She's just getting by. She's making the most of what she has, and she knows all about waiting. Sometimes maybe we lack the patience in the process to really let that alchemy work on us. So if you're in an uneventful part of your life or if you're in that waiting place and whatever you do doesn't jumpstart it, that's okay. There's something to waiting. There's something to patience. And then as she starts to uncover her gifts, oh my gosh, there's a couple of lines I've got to share. When she's in the Jedi temple, she said, I need someone to show me my place in all this. I gosh near cried when I saw that line because I was also spiritually waking up at that same moment. She also says, something inside me has always been there, but now it's awake. And I'm afraid I don't know what it is or what to do with it, and I need help. As we wake up spiritually, it's daunting. We're told to awake and arise. That's part of sacred liturgy. But when you wake up, it's daunting. You start to see more clearly, and you start to see that there is this epic battle between good and evil. And what's your role in it? And how are you supposed to play? And how are you supposed to train? And what knowledge do you need in order to accomplish that mission? And she has these different quests she has to take, and she needs good friends, and she needs training, and she needs knowledge. And yet she also has to carve out her own space. At the end of the Rise of Skywalker, she talks to Luke and he says, my part is mostly done. This is your part to figure out. You need to play your role in your time, in your place. So this beautiful lesson of there's so much we can learn from the past that will instruct us. But at the same time, the world has never known a you. And you have a very unique and beautiful place in that. Looking for the good. Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. At the end, he persists in his belief that he can still feel the good in his father. And he goes against all the odds. Once again, he's going against all the odds. He's going with his gut feeling that there is still a place for redemption in his father's heart. And he will die trying to redeem his father. Such an amazing moment. But that I feel the good in you. Again, looking at the whole picture. I mean, everyone else, give up on Darth Vader. Although I do have to say, the very end of Rogue One, thank you for producing that, because I always wondered why everyone was so afraid of Darth Vader based on the actions we see in all of the other movies. Oh gosh, when you watch the end of that last 40 seconds of Rogue One, you're like, ooh, Darth Vader. And yet Anakin started out good. It's like that woman who won the Best Director at the Academy Awards quoted the Chinese poem saying, people are born good at birth. And believing in that redemptive quality and persisting in that and fighting in the good for the good of other people. Luke Skywalker, thank you for that. And then we have also this exchange between Kylo Ren and Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. Man, I wish I could just do videos. I'd infringe on all kinds of copyright laws, and I'm trying not to. But when Kylo Ren just shoots at him with those AT-ATs for I don't know, a minute, and he should have demolished him, and he's still there, and Kylo Ren jumps out, and he's still so angry, right? Anger leads to the dark side. Try not to feed your anger. You'll feel it, but when you feed it and you allow it to take over, you do take on a different path. And Kylo Ren comments, did you come back to say you forgive me to save my soul? And Luke says, no. And they fight. Again, the lightsaber. What a metaphor. The saber of light, the light of truth. That's the weapon. And it depends on how you use it. And he says, I failed you, Ben. I'm sorry. He recognizes that he's failed. He's made mistakes with Ben, and he's admitting them. I mean, look at all the lessons in Star Wars. So beautiful. And Kylo Ren said, I'm sure you are. The resistance is dead. The war is over. And when I kill you, I will have killed the last Jedi. So this is Kylo Ren's perspective. And it's all about ending anything to do with him being hurt and failed by Luke Skywalker. And he has been. Luke gives in to fear. And at that moment, and then he realizes that was a bad moment, but that's when Kylo Ren wakes up and yada, yada, yada. But Luke Skywalker's line, amazing. Every word of what you just said was wrong. The rebellion is reborn today. The war is just beginning, and I will not be the last Jedi. My dear friends, the Russians have a phrase, hope dies last. Hope dies last. Do not let hope die. Everything is about hope, a new hope, another hope. And as Princess Leia says, probably one of my greatest heroes, well, she doesn't say it, but there's a poster that says, a woman's place is in the rebellion. Women, never forget that you are beings whose place is in this fight, is in this battle for good and evil, for people's souls, for people's hearts, and that a woman's place is in the rebellion. Now, Darth Vader teaches us some good things about defense. When Obi-Wan lowers his lightsaber, he says, you are unwise to lower your defenses. It's important that we keep our defenses up and strong, that we don't make them weak. All of the greatest civilizations of all time actually fell by some type of infiltration to the inside. And that's how great things fall. So keep your defenses high. You need to have a strong defense. The rebels always had a defense. You always have a shield. You also always have a power source helping you with that shield. In Rogue One, you see this courageous group of people trying to help the rebellion take down the Empire. I think there's such a good example of feel the fear and do it anyway. And Jyn Erso, who's the one who ultimately dies sending that transmission of the Death Star's plans, said, what chance do we have? The question is, what choice? Maybe in the big picture, your choices are more definitive than the chances you have. Choosing courageous action is your choice. Don't worry about the odds. Don't let 3PO get to you. I love that line. What chance do we have? The question is, what choice? The road to heaven inevitably leads through hell. You'll hear me say this a lot, but it's true. And I think Princess Leia has a great line about this when they're rescuing her, quote unquote, in A New Hope, the first original Star Wars. She says, someone has to save our skins. Into the garbage chute, flyboys. And she shoots the hole in the garbage chute and they jump in there. To get out, you have to make it through the bowels of hell. You've got to travel through the muck. You've got to make it through the garbage. You've got to find your way through gates and through doorways in order to get back. Everything's in these movies. When Han Solo goes to save Luke Skywalker on Hoth and he cuts open the tauntaun and he's like, may smell bad, kid, but it'll keep you warm. And then he puts his glasses over his eyes and he says, and I thought they smelled bad on the outside. Keep a sense of humor as you make your way through that hellish tauntaun gut or whatever it is that you've got to do. Understand that's all part of the journey. No one gets through here unscathed. No one makes it through without tauntaun guts and walking through garbage and getting trapped and having to find a way out and looking for plan A, B, C, D, E through Z. We've all got to figure that out. Yoda also advises Anakin to train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose. Sometimes when we hang on too tight, that fear can control us. And again, fear is real. You feel it. But sometimes it can be a mirage. It can be an illusion. And it can be used against you. Don't for one second think that the adversary isn't keen to use the tools of fear and death to put you into a program that is more of his making. Train yourself to let go of the things you fear to lose. There is opposition in all things. General Snoke tells Rey, I warned my young apprentice that as he grew stronger, his equal in the light would rise. As you see this rise in evil and wickedness and darkness, I want you to know that there is prophesied an equal rise in light and truth and those who know the Lord. There's a scripture that says, know ye the Lord, because all will know him. Know that as you seek the Lord and you seek to be courageous and brave and fight this fight, no matter what the cost, that the rise in light is equal to the rise in darkness. Never feel like the odds are against you once again. Force will be with you always. The Force will be with you always. However you want to interpret that, the Force will be with you always. We also get some great advice about staying present. When Luke comes and he says, I'm ready to be a Jedi, Yoda advises him, a Jedi must have the deepest commitment, the most serious mind. All his life, he's looked away to the future, to the horizon, never his mind on where he was, what he was doing. I've heard it said that anxiety comes from living in the future and depression comes from living in the past. So, to be a true Jedi, we must learn to live in the present. We must learn to be present and take what's coming at us in the present. Yes, we have a big picture. Yes, we have a view, but we need to learn to be present. Yoda also says, always pass on what you have learned. In a dark place we find ourselves, and a little more knowledge lights our way. My dear friends, Reflecting Light is all about passing on those few little bulbs of knowledge that I've been able to acquire and share that with you. And I promise that knowledge does light the way. Knowledge will open up the ways of the Force and let you see the illusion and let you see the reality and help you understand who you are and your place in this great fight and what your gifts are and what you're out here to do. All of that is true. It's just so beautiful. And the last thing I want to quote, of course, is from Yoda. I mean, I'd love to quote Han or Leia, my favorites, but I'm sure I've said it before, but he says, luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. You are more than this crude matter, my friends. You're luminous. You're filled with light. You come from light. You come from a dyad in the Force. The most powerful force in the cosmos is your heavenly mother and your heavenly father who created you and infused you with that light and that hope and that goodness. And your tie to them will guide you and will show you who you are and will ultimately bring you back home. Learning, living, relationships, knowledge, those are all things that have a heavenly currency and they're part of you. So you don't buy the lie that you are just this crude matter. Luminous beings are we. That's the podcast for today. The Force will be with you always.